Hello, KMS. So today is January 4th, and we're going to be creating a Google Sheet of your daily schedule for both AC days and BD days. The first thing you're going to need to do is open up the template found on Google Classroom. This template is a Google Sheet. A Google Sheet is a way to organize data. So a few things that you need to know about Google Sheets. One, they're awesome because they're Google, so they save automatically. And they have columns which go up and down, and rows which go horizontally, right? So you'll have columns that are labeled with letters and rows that are labeled with numbers. So each of these little components here, boxes, are called cells. So this would be A1 versus this would be B1. So you can find the different cells and you can adjust them by making them bigger or smaller. If you double click, it'll shrink the cell so it's as big as your longest cell. What I would like you to do is to create your school schedule. So what I hoped I did was I gave you some times that you have classes. So at 7:50 to 8:50 on an AC day, what class do you have? I'm going to look at this schedule here. And if you're in group 3, you may have science with McDonald. So on this cell, I would type science. And you could also put, if you'd like, the teacher's name. That might be different. It's obviously different on a BD day. So for this student, on a BD day at 7:50, they start off in social studies. So I just type this here. Okay, and you'll go through and you'll fill out all of your classes. So I'm going to go in between. So math and ELA. So math, ELA happens for this student at 10 o'clock. They have check-ins. So check-in for ELA, check-in for math. So check-in ELA, check-in math. Oops, and I hit the caps lock by accident. All right, at 11 o'clock, the student has a check-in for social studies or a check-in for science. And let's see, so they might have, so it looks like they have some additional times in here. So 11:25 to 11:55. So let's go back over here. So I'd actually have to adjust this. So this would be until like 11:20. And then you can actually add rows in. So if you right click, you can insert a row above or below. So I'm going to insert a row. You can see I have a blank row. And I'm going to say from 11:20 through 11:55, I have iReady. And then maybe this is the same. So you can actually copy and paste. We might have to adjust this. So again, make sure that your times are all flowing together. So this would be like iReady math. Perhaps this is lunch. And then we have tech. So your official hour for tech, but we know that you guys spend your time a little differently. I appreciate you. And then you have gym. What a nice way to spend the day. All right, so this looks pretty boring, I have to say. So to make things look a little bit nicer, we're going to format them. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is select your cells. So what I did just there is I took A1 And I took my mouse and I dragged down so they're all highlighted until I get to B10. Up on the top, you can add borders. I'm going to add a border all the way around. It's like that. You might want to get rid of the borders sometimes. So if you highlight them, you can just like get rid of them, or perhaps only on certain sides. So I'll just have it like the outer borders and not on the end of it. Now, what you may want to do is have things colored, right? So what I would suggest doing too is at this time, changing your font. Let's make it look pretty. My favorite is lobster. And I would like to have this be a little bit bigger so I can see. Okay. Now, if you noticed, some of the things are cut off. That's where it becomes important. If you come up here, if you bring your mouse up here, you can double click and it'll scooch it over just a little bit. So do you see how I have the double arrow there? I can double click and it'll scooch out that cell until the end of social studies. So that looks pretty nice. All right. Other things I may want to do, perhaps I change the font on just partial of it. So to make it easier to read, that would be cool. You can also change the colors. So this is where you can fill the color or change the text color. It's really however you would like to read it and how you would like to display your schedule. So if you'd like just the text to be colored, that would be cool. Or versus maybe on this one, I'll maybe we have this be filled with a color. So again, if I fill it with a color, so maybe I'll change it to like purple, that might be hard to read. So I could also change the text color to maybe like white. All right, that looks pretty nice. So you're gonna go through, folks, and you're gonna highlight things to be able to change the text, change the color of the text itself, the fill color, and add some borders to it. My goal for you today is hopefully by the end of Monday, you'll have both your AC and your B day schedules. You'll have it accurately filled out. I gave you the basics, but you might have to insert cells or right click and insert rows to kind of actually have it be very accurate and be true to your schedule. Okay. The last thing that I'll need you to do is just make sure that it's able to be viewed. So over here, we are going to add it to your portfolio eventually. So we want to change it from restricted to have anyone at Lansingburg can view it. They can't edit, but they can see what you did. Okay, awesome. All right, so that's Monday. Please join me for our Google Meet starting at 10:15 if you have any questions. This template can be found on Google Classroom. And we're not adding anything to your Google site quite yet. You're just in charge today of filling out your schedule for both AC days and BD days. All right, guys, happy Monday. Join the Google Meet if you need anything. You can always email me, and happy organization.